Did you know that some of the biggest names in R&B met tragic and untimely ends? From Lisa Left Eye Lopes, whose life was tragically cut short in a devastating car accident in Honduras, to Teddy Pendergras, who faced a life-altering crash that left him paralyzed at the peak of his success, these R&B stars prove that fate can be as unpredictable as fame itself. Here are 20 fatal accidents that shook R&B history. Number 1. Angie Stone's. Angie Stone, the legendary R&B and soul singer, made headlines in March 2015, but not for her music. She was involved in a serious car accident that could have been fatal. The accident happened in Georgia when Stone was behind the wheel of her car. Reports say that she lost control of her vehicle and crashed into a concrete median. The impact was strong and the car was badly damaged. Thankfully, she survived, but the crash left her shaken. At the time, many fans were worried about her safety. Some rumors even spread that she had suffered major injuries, but Stone was lucky to escape without life-threatening harm. She later spoke about the accident, explaining that she was dealing with a lot of stress in her life. While details about what caused the crash remain unclear, some believed exhaustion might have played a role. This wasn't the only dramatic moment in Stone's life. Just days before the accident, she was arrested after a heated argument with her daughter, Diamond. The argument reportedly got physical, and Stone was charged with assault. She later explained that she never meant to hurt her daughter and that the situation got out of hand. Up next on our list was one of the biggest stars in R&B. Number 2. Aaliyah. Aaliyah was one of the biggest stars in R&B when her life was cut short in a tragic accident. On August 25, 2001, the 22-year-old singer had just finished filming the music video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas. Excited about her new project, she and her team boarded a small private plane to return to the U.S. However, just moments after takeoff, disaster struck. The Cessna 402B aircraft, which was supposed to carry Aaliyah and 8 others, was overloaded with too much weight. The plane struggled to gain altitude, then suddenly crashed near the runway, bursting into flames. Everyone on board was killed instantly, including Aaliyah, her hairstylist, makeup artist, security guard, and members of her record label. Investigations later revealed that the plane exceeded its weight limit by several hundred pounds, making it unstable. Even worse, the pilot, Luis Morales III, was not properly licensed to fly the plane and had drugs and alcohol in his system at the time of the crash. It was a tragic and preventable accident. News of Aaliyah's death shocked the world. She was a rising star with hit songs like Try Again, Are You That Somebody, and One in a Million. Fans and celebrities mourned her loss, with stars like Missy Elliott, Timbaland, and DMX expressing their heartbreak. Aaliyah had already achieved so much at a young age. She was not only a singer, but also an actress, starring in films like Romeo Must Die and Queen of the Damned. Many believed she was on the verge of becoming one of the biggest entertainers of her generation. Number 3. Lisa Lopes, Lisa Left Eye. Lopes, one of the most famous members of the R&B group TLC, tragically lost her life in a car accident on April 25, 2002. She was just 30 years old. The accident happened in Honduras, a place she often visited to escape the pressures of fame and focus on her personal growth. At the time of the crash, Lisa was driving an SUV with several passengers. She suddenly swerved to avoid a truck, but the car lost control, flipped over, and crashed. Lisa was the only one who suffered fatal injuries. Sadly, she was thrown from the vehicle, and she died instantly from severe head trauma. What makes her passing even more haunting is that Lisa was documenting her time in Honduras for a project called The Last Days of Left Eye. The footage captured her spiritual journey, her thoughts on life, and even a strange series of events leading up to her death. Just days before the accident, she had been in another car crash that resulted in the tragic death of a young boy. She even mentioned that she felt like a spirit was following her, and eerily, she believed she was meant to die young. Lisa had a deep connection to spirituality and personal transformation. She often spoke about wanting to heal and grow as a person, and she embraced alternative lifestyles, including fasting and meditation. While in Honduras, she was spending time with a natural healer, Dr. Sebi, seeking ways to cleanse her body and mind. Her death was a massive loss for the music industry. As part of TLC, she helped create hits like Waterfalls, No Scrubs, and Creep. Her unique rapping style, fiery personality, and creativity made her unforgettable. Even though she sometimes made headlines for her controversial behavior, including a highly publicized incident with her ex-boyfriend Andre Ricin, she remained a beloved artist. Number 4. Teddy Pendergras. Teddy Pendergras was one of the biggest voices in R&B, known for his deep, soulful sound and emotional songs. But his life took a tragic turn in 1982 when he was involved in a terrible car accident that changed everything. Pendergras was driving his Rolls-Royce in Philadelphia when he lost control of the car. It hit a guardrail and slammed into a tree. The crash left him paralyzed from the chest down, meaning he would never walk again. Before the accident, he was at the top of his career, selling out concerts and making hit records. Many people thought this would be the end of his music journey. But Pendergras refused to give up. Even in a wheelchair, he continued to record and perform. He made a huge comeback in 1985 when he performed at Live Aid, an event watched by millions around the world. He later released more albums, proving that his voice and talent were still as strong as ever. Number 5. Brandy Norwood. Brandy Norwood was involved in a fatal car accident on the 405 freeway in Los Angeles. The crash resulted in the death of a 38-year-old woman, leaving Brandy deeply shaken and facing legal consequences. Brandy was driving her Land Rover when traffic suddenly slowed in front of her. She was unable to react in time and crashed into the back of a Toyota Corolla driven by Awatef Aboudi Haj, a mother of 2. The impact pushed Aboudi Haj's car into another vehicle, which then struck a center divider before getting hit by another car. Tragically, Aboudi Haj suffered severe injuries and was rushed to the hospital, where she later passed away. The accident was thoroughly investigated, and while authorities determined that Brandy was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, the crash was caused by her failure to brake in time. Despite this, no criminal charges were filed against her. However, Aboudi Haj's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit seeking compensation for their tragic loss. Brandy was devastated by the incident. Sources close to her said she struggled with guilt and sadness as she never intended to cause harm. The legal battle went on for several months, and eventually, Brandy settled the civil lawsuit out of court. The exact amount she paid was not publicly disclosed, but reports suggested it was in the millions of dollars. The accident had a lasting effect on Brandy's life and career. For a time, she stepped away from the spotlight, dealing with the emotional weight of the tragedy. Though she later returned to music and acting, she has rarely spoken about the accident, only expressing her deep sorrow for the loss of life. Next celebrity is known for hits like Piano Man and Uptown Girl. Number 6. Billy Joel. Billy Joel, the famous singer behind hits like Piano Man and Uptown Girl, went through a rough period in the early 2000s. During this time, he struggled with personal problems, including relationship troubles and deep sadness following the tragic September 11, 2001, attacks. His emotional state took a toll on him, and one night it led to a serious accident. While driving his Mercedes-Benz on Long Island, New York, Billy Joel lost control of the car and crashed. Thankfully, he was not seriously hurt, but the crash was a wake-up call. Later, he admitted that he had been in what he described as a mental fog. His mind wasn't clear, and he was dealing with overwhelming emotions. Billy Joel explained that a combination of issues weighed heavily on him. His personal life was in turmoil, and the heartbreak from a failing relationship left him feeling lost. On top of that, he was deeply affected by the 9/11 attacks, which had shaken the entire nation. Like many others, he felt a lingering sadness and sense of helplessness after the tragedy. These emotions built up over time, affecting his well-being and decision-making. This crash was not his only car accident during that period. He was involved in multiple crashes in the following years, which raised concerns among his fans and the public. Many wondered if something was seriously wrong, as it was clear he was struggling. Following the accidents, Billy Joel decided to take control of his life. He checked himself into rehab to deal with his emotions and mental health. It was a step toward healing, and he later spoke openly about his struggles. He wanted people to understand that even celebrities go through difficult times and that seeking help is important. Number 7. Melanie Thornton. Melanie Thornton, the powerful voice behind the 90s dance and R&B group Lopes, tragically lost her life in a plane crash at just 34 years old. She was on Crossair Flight 3597, traveling to Zurich, Switzerland, when the flight met a devastating end. Melanie was flying from Berlin, Germany, to Zurich. She had been promoting her solo album, Ready to Fly, a title that would take on a heartbreaking meaning after her untimely death. That night, as the plane approached Zurich, heavy rain and fog covered the area, making visibility poor. The pilots attempted to land, but something went terribly wrong. The aircraft, a British Aerospace 146, was coming in too low as it prepared for landing. The plane clipped trees, lost control, and crashed into a wooded area just a few miles from the runway. Out of 33 people on board, 24 lost their lives, including Melanie Thornton. Before her passing, Melanie had been rising in her solo career while still being loved for her time with Lopes, known for massive hits like Be My Lover and Sweet Dreams. Her unique voice and energetic performances made her an unforgettable part of 90s dance and R&B music. The tragedy struck just hours after she had performed what would be her final concert in Leipzig, Germany. Her last song of the night? Wonderful Dream, Holidays Are Coming, a track that would later be associated with Coca-Cola's holiday campaigns. Ironically, the song carried messages of hope and celebration, making it even more emotional after her passing. Next celebrity also lost her life in a car accident at the age of 53. Number 8. Mary Wilson. Mary Wilson, the singer best known for her 1977 novelty hit Telephone Man, tragically lost her life in a car accident at the age of 53. Wilson was driving through Interstate 85 in Americus, Georgia, when her car slid off the road during a stormy night. Heavy rain made the road slippery, and she lost control of her vehicle, leading to a fatal crash. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but Wilson had succumbed to her injuries at the scene. Mary Wilson rose to fame in the late 1970s with her playful and suggestive song, Telephone Man. The track became a huge hit, reaching the Billboard Hot 100 charts and making Wilson a well-known name in the world of novelty music. Her light-hearted lyrics and catchy melodies captured audiences, and Telephone Man became a radio favorite. Though she never matched the same level of success, Wilson continued making music and performing for devoted fans. Despite being known for her comedic style, Wilson was a talented songwriter and musician. She had a strong passion for music from a young age and worked hard to build her career. In the years following Telephone Man, she remained active in the industry, releasing several songs and albums while also working behind the scenes as a songwriter. Number 9. Cozy Powell. Cozy Powell, one of rock's most legendary drummers, tragically lost his life in a car crash on April 5, 1998. Known for his powerful drumming with bands like Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and Whitesnake, Powell's career spanned decades, making him one of the most respected musicians in rock history. But despite his larger-than-life presence on stage, his final moments were filled with urgency and heartbreak. That night, Powell was behind the wheel of his Saab 9000 on the M4 motorway near Bristol, England. Reports later revealed that he had been on the phone with his girlfriend, who was deeply distressed. She had called him upset and crying, prompting Powell to rush to her side. Witnesses said he was speeding down the highway when he lost control of the car. His vehicle spun off the road and crashed, killing him instantly. Investigations into the accident uncovered several troubling details. Powell had been driving well over the speed limit and was not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. Additionally, he had alcohol in his system, though not at an extreme level. What made the situation even more heartbreaking was the fact that Powell had also been dealing with health problems, including a recent foot injury that may have affected his driving. His death sent shockwaves through the music world. Powell had been an essential part of some of rock's greatest albums and had played alongside icons like Jeff Beck, Ritchie Blackmore, and Tony Iommi. Fans and fellow musicians mourned his passing, remembering him not only for his drumming skills, but also for his charismatic and fun-loving personality. Up next was the lead singer of the band, Snot. No other person but number 10, Lynn Strait. Lynn Strait tragically lost his life in a car accident in Santa Barbara, California. He was only 30 years old when the accident happened on December 11, 1998. That day, Lynn was driving his Ford Tempo with his beloved dog Dobbs when he got caught in a tragic chain reaction crash on Highway 101. Reports said that a truck lost control and hit Lynn's car, causing a devastating collision. Sadly, both Lynn and Dobbs did not survive. Lynn had been working hard to make a name for himself in the music world. As the frontman of Snot, he was known for his high-energy performances and unique vocal style. The band was gaining popularity in the late 1990s after releasing their debut album, Get Some, in 1997. Fans and critics praised their mix of punk, metal, and funk, making them stand out in the nu metal scene. Many believed they were on their way to becoming a big name in rock music. After his death, the music community came together to honor his legacy. Members of bands like System of a Down, Korn, and Limp Bizkit paid tribute to Lynn, recognizing his talent and the impact he had in the industry. Snot's surviving members released an album titled Straight Up, which featured guest vocals from many artists as a way to keep Lynn's memory alive. Number 11, Steven Tyler. Aerosmith's frontman, Steven Tyler found himself in a terrifying accident that could have ended his career or worse. While riding his motorcycle, Tyler had a serious crash, and things got even more complicated because he wasn't alone. Riding on the back of his bike was his 17-year-old babysitter, a young woman who had been helping care for his child. The accident was nasty, leaving Tyler with severe injuries. He needed months of recovery, forcing him to step away from music while he healed. This was a difficult time, not just for him, but for Aerosmith as well. The band had been working on their next album, but with Tyler out of commission, everything was put on hold. What was supposed to be another big release turned into a long, frustrating delay. As Tyler focused on getting better, Aerosmith had to figure out how to move forward. Tensions were already rising in the band due to drug use, personal issues, and exhaustion from years of touring. This accident only made things worse, deepening the divide between the members. It took nearly 2 years before Aerosmith could release their next album, Rock in a Hard Place. But by then, the band wasn't the same. Guitarists Joe Perry and Brad Whitford had both left, and the band struggled without them. The album didn't have the same energy as their earlier work, and fans noticed. Some even wondered if Aerosmith's best days were behind them. Steven Tyler's motorcycle accident wasn't just a scary moment. It was a turning point in Aerosmith's history. It delayed their music, added to the band's problems, and left Tyler with painful memories. But despite everything, he bounced back, proving once again that he was a true rock star. Number 12, Steve Curry. Steve Curry, the original bass player for the legendary rock band T-Rex, tragically lost his life in a car accident at just 33 years old. His death came 4 years after the group's famous lead singer, Mark Bolan, also died in a similar accident. Curry had been an essential part of T-Rex's success during the early 1970s, playing on some of their biggest hits, including Get It On and Metal Guru. His bass lines helped define the band's signature glam rock sound, making them one of the most influential groups of their time. After leaving T-Rex, Curry stepped away from the spotlight, but remained involved in music behind the scenes. Curry was driving through Portugal when his car crashed. The details of the accident remain unclear, but it was a tragic ending for a musician whose contributions to rock music were deeply appreciated. His sudden death echoed the heartbreaking loss of Mark Bolan, who had died when his car crashed into a tree in London. Bolan and Curry had been key members of T-Rex, a band that revolutionized glam rock with its energetic style and catchy melodies. Fans couldn't ignore the eerie similarity in how both musicians lost their lives at a young age. Curry's passing was another devastating blow to T-Rex fans who were still mourning Bolan's untimely death. Though he is often overshadowed by Bolan's larger-than-life personality, Steve Curry's musical talent played a vital role in the band's success. His steady, grooving bass lines helped shape songs that continue to influence artists today. Even after his death, his legacy lives on through T-Rex's timeless music, reminding the world of his talent and the impact he had on rock history. Number 13, Keith Godchaux. Keith Godchaux, a talented keyboardist best known for his time with the Grateful Dead, passed away at just 32 years old due to severe head injuries from a car accident. The tragic event happened 2 days before his death, cutting short the life of a gifted musician. On the night of the accident, Keith had been celebrating his birthday. After the party, he was on his way home when the crash occurred. The exact details of the accident remain unclear, but the impact caused serious injuries, particularly to his head. Despite medical efforts, the damage was too severe, and he passed away. Keith's time with the Grateful Dead was brief but significant. He joined the band in 1971, bringing a smooth, jazz-influenced style to their music. His piano playing added depth to their live performances, and he played a key role on albums like Wake of the Flood and Blues for Allah. However, both Keith and his wife, Donna Jean Godchaux, left the band due to personal struggles and creative differences. Even after parting ways with the Grateful Dead, Keith remained passionate about music. He and Donna started their own band, the Heart of Gold Band, eager to explore new sounds and keep performing. Sadly, his life was cut short before he could fully realize his next musical chapter. Number 14, Chris Bell. Chris Bell, the talented guitarist and co-founder of the band Big Star, tragically lost his life in a car accident at just 27 years old. It happened in his hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. Bell was driving home late at night when he lost control of his Triumph TR7 sports car. The vehicle crashed into a light pole, killing him instantly. Bell's death was a devastating loss for those who knew him and for the music world. Though Big Star never became a massive success during his lifetime, the band later gained a cult following. Many music lovers consider them one of the most influential power pop bands of all time. Bell helped shape their signature sound with his melodic guitar work and deeply emotional songwriting. Before his passing, Bell had struggled with personal and professional challenges. After leaving Big Star following their debut album, #1 record, he battled depression and feelings of disappointment. The album had received great reviews but failed commercially, which frustrated Bell. He also struggled with drug use and tried to find his own path as a solo artist. Despite his struggles, Bell never stopped making music. He recorded several solo songs, including the beautiful and haunting I Am the Cosmos. The song, along with others, was later released as a posthumous album in 1992. Today, his music is recognized for its raw emotion and timeless quality. Next celebrity who also died in a fatal plane accident. Number 15, Bill Chase. In 1974, a terrible accident took the lives of 4 members of the jazz rock band Chase, including their leader, Bill Chase. The group was traveling on a small plane when it crashed near Jackson, Minnesota. Sadly, no one on board survived. Bill Chase was a talented trumpet player and the driving force behind the band. He had worked with famous musicians before forming Chase. Their biggest success came in 1971 with the song "Get It On," which became a hit and showcased their unique blend of jazz and rock. The band was known for its powerful brass section and energetic performances, making them stand out in the music world. Bill Chase and his bandmates Wally Yan, John Emma, and Walter Clark boarded a chartered flight heading to a show in Minnesota. They were supposed to perform at the Jackson County Fair that evening. Unfortunately, their plane ran into bad weather shortly before reaching its destination. Strong winds and storms made it difficult for the pilot to see, and the aircraft went down in a field, killing everyone on board. The tragic crash was a huge loss for the music industry. Chase had been working on new music and had the potential for even greater success. Fans and fellow musicians were heartbroken over the news. Bill Chase's incredible trumpet skills and vision for blending jazz with rock had inspired many. Even though the band's time was cut short, their music still lives on. "Get It On" remains a classic song that reminds people of the talent and energy Chase brought to the world. Their story is one of both promise and heartbreak, showing how unpredictable life can be. Number 16. Cliff Burton. Cliff Burton, Metallica's second bassist, died in a horrific bus crash. He was just 24 years old. At the time, the band was in Sweden as part of their Damage Inc. tour, supporting their iconic album, Master of Puppets. That night, the band's tour bus was traveling on a cold, rural road near Ljungby, Sweden. The musicians and crew were exhausted after another intense performance, and most of them were asleep as the bus made its way through the dark. Cliff Burton, resting in his bunk, had no idea that tragedy was just moments away. At around dawn, the driver suddenly lost control of the bus. The vehicle skidded off the road, possibly due to icy conditions, though some reports suggested another cause. As the bus swerved, Burton was thrown out of a window before the massive vehicle rolled over him, crushing him instantly. The rest of the band, James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Kirk Hammett, were in shock. They rushed outside to check on Cliff, only to face the unbearable reality that he was gone. Hetfield, overwhelmed with anger and grief, reportedly walked along the road in disbelief, trying to understand how this could have happened. After the accident, there was confusion about what went wrong. The driver claimed the bus hit black ice, causing it to slip. However, Hetfield later said he walked up and down the road in just his socks and found no ice at all. To this day, questions remain about the true cause of the crash. Cliff Burton's death was a crushing blow to Metallica. He had been a key part of their sound, bringing a unique bass style that helped define the band's early music. His influence can still be heard on classic songs like Orion, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and Fade to Black. Number 17. Randy Rhoads. Randy Rhoads, the brilliant young guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne, had his life cut short in a horrifying plane crash. He was only 25 years old and already considered one of the greatest guitar players in rock history. That morning, the band was on tour in Leesburg, Florida. While Ozzy and the rest of the crew were asleep in their tour bus, parked near a small airstrip, some members of the team decided to go on a short plane ride for fun. The small Beechcraft Bonanza aircraft was piloted by Andrew Aycock, who was also the band's tour bus driver. Aycock, who had a pilot's license but a history of flying violations, convinced Randy Rhoads and Rachel Youngblood, the band's costume designer and hairdresser, to join him on a quick flight. Once in the air, Aycock began flying dangerously close to the parked tour bus, attempting to buzz it, meaning he was trying to fly low and fast over it as a prank. However, on one of these passes, the plane's wing clipped the tour bus, causing the aircraft to spiral out of control. Within seconds, the plane crashed into a nearby house, bursting into flames on impact. The crash instantly killed all three passengers, Rhoads, Youngblood, and Aycock. The accident left the band in complete shock. Ozzy Osbourne, who had just woken up from the crash's noise, was devastated by the loss of his friend and bandmate. Randy Rhoads had been a major part of Ozzy's solo career, helping shape his music with unforgettable guitar work on songs like Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley. His death at such a young age was a huge blow to the rock world, leaving fans mourning what could have been. Number 18. Lynyrd Skynyrd. Lynyrd Skynyrd, one of the biggest rock bands, faced a terrible tragedy on October 20th, 1977. The band was flying from Greenville, South Carolina to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for their next concert when disaster struck. Their Convair CV-240 ran out of fuel and crashed into a wooded area in Gillsburg, Mississippi. The crash killed lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, guitarist Steve Gaines, and his sister Cassie Gaines, who was one of the band's backup singers. Also among the dead were the band's assistant road manager, Dean Kilpatrick, and the two pilots, Walter McCreary and William Gray. Other members of the band, including Alan Collins, Gary Rossington, Leon Wilkeson, Billy Powell, and Artemis Pyle, survived but suffered serious injuries. Rossington broke both arms and a leg, while Powell's nose was nearly torn off. Collins had deep cuts, and Wilkeson broke his jaw. Pyle, covered in blood, managed to get help by walking to a nearby farmhouse. The crash ended Lynyrd Skynyrd's classic lineup just 3 days after they released their album Street Survivors. The tragedy shocked the music world as the band was at the height of their success. Number 19. Juan Hinojosa. Juan Hinojosa, the talented drummer for Los Fabulosos Cuatro, tragically lost his life in a car accident in Texas. Even more heartbreaking, his 28-year-old son was also killed in the crash. The accident happened when their vehicle was involved in a serious collision on a Texas highway. Authorities reported that the crash occurred late at night, though the exact details of what caused it are still under investigation. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but both Juan and his son were pronounced dead at the scene. Juan Hinojosa was known for his incredible drumming skills and was a beloved member of Los Fabulosos Cuatro, a band that brought joy to many fans. His rhythm and energy helped shape the group's unique sound, making them a favorite in the Latin music scene. Over the years, he gained a reputation as a dedicated musician who loved performing and connecting with audiences. Fans and fellow musicians have shared their shock and sadness over his passing. Many have taken to social media to express their condolences, remembering Juan as not just a talented drummer, but also a kind and passionate artist. Lastly on our list of 20 fatal accidents in R&B history, number 20, Joel Taz DiGregorio. Joel Taz DiGregorio, the longtime keyboard player for the Charlie Daniels Band, tragically lost his life in a car accident on his way to a show. The accident happened in Tennessee just before the band was set to perform at the coming country fair. DiGregorio was 67 years old at the time of his passing and had been an important part of the band for many years. He was more than just a musician. He helped shape the group's sound and wrote songs that became fan favorites. One of his most famous contributions was The Devil Went Down to Georgia, a song that became a massive hit and is still loved by country and southern rock fans today. His death was a huge loss for the band and the music world. Charlie Daniels, the band's frontman, was deeply saddened by the news. He described DiGregorio as a talented musician and a close friend. The band had to cancel their performance that night as they mourned their longtime bandmate. To uncover more intriguing stories about Hollywood celebrities, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.